What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. We have another great show for you this week. Awesome guests. So we'll get into some intros real quick. And before I do that, I'm just going to shout out our sponsors real fast. Thank you to mobility professionals and urology professionals for keeping this channel free and not behind any paywalls for anybody to access. So thank you very much for their support, and we'll shout them out at the end again and give you guys some more info. But if you want to check out their website, it is all down below. Like I said, I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Bobby, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, Bobby Rohan, C56 as well, from a cycling accident 35 years ago here in Southern California. And take it away, Tom.
What's up, everybody? It's Tom Conaway, C6B quadriplegic for the last 26 years, coming at you from beautiful, sunny Southern California. And today we're talking about a cool topic, a cool publication, and a cool man, Ian Rudder. I'm sorry if I already forgot how to pronounce your last name, but you are editor-in-chief, Mr. EIC, of New Mobility Magazine, a magazine that I've been reading for the last 15 years or so. And we're going to pass it along to you to introduce yourself, dude. We're really excited to have you. So thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the intro. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Stoked to have the conversation and get to know you guys a little better and just chat about random stuff. It's always fun. Yeah, like you said, I'm a C5 quad. I've been paralyzed for 26 years. 26 years now. Live in Portland, Oregon. It is not sunny here right now. A little jealous of you guys, but it's pretty and green, so I can't complain about that. And there's no smog in the air, so you got to have your trade-offs. But yeah, just stoked to be here. Thanks for the invite, and glad to chat about everything.
Cool, man. Awesome. So you all guys got to hang out at the Abilities Expo, I think, recently, a couple of weeks ago. But tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your position in New Mobility Magazine. How'd you come about being a part of it? I know we talked a little bit before. You said you've been with them for a little bit more than a decade and editor-in-chief for the last 5 years. How'd you get into that?
Yeah, man. So I was paralyzed right after I was in high school and ended up going to college and up here in Oregon. And while I was in school, got involved with the paper at school. We didn't have a journalism program or anything like that. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now that I'm a quad. I don't know. I don't even know what a job looks like, but I found that I could do that, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing and reporting and getting to work with people and that kind of daily thing. And back when newspapers were still a thing, I was like, I'm going to do this. So I graduated and started doing freelance reporting, mainly doing sports reporting at the time. I covered a minor league hockey team for the Oregonian, which was a big newspaper, and I covered AAA baseball. Basically, whatever team was like the worst team, they put me on. So I covered a lot of really terrible seasons. Like I think the hockey team had the two worst years in the history of minor league hockey, and then the baseball team finished in last place like every year I covered it. But it was super fun, and like it was a really great training because I was covering, I think 70. I covered 70 minor league games one year, and that's working on deadline every night in a stadium on press row with other people. None of them have ever seen anybody in a wheelchair there. So I learned a lot, did that, and then got a bunch of clips and was at a conference once in DC that a friend took me to for mobility stuff, and I met one of the people from New Mobility and said, "Hey, are you guys looking to hire? I like doing this. I'm looking for a full-time job." They gave me a chance. I totally screwed it up. I did a terrible job and wrote a terrible story about benefits. It was totally wrong, but they were really nice and gave me a second chance, and here I am, 12 years later.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. I mean, yeah, that's a part of learning, right? Is falling along the way. As long as you're able to pick yourself back up and learn from your mistakes, that's how you become good and great at what you do. Well, that's really amazing. Obviously, it seems like you enjoy it. Do you enjoy it? Is it something that you like to do?
Yeah. Oh, man. That's kind of like what you guys do. I feel fortunate that I can do something that I enjoy, that is meaningful, and hopefully, based on the feedback and the stuff I see at Abilities Expo and elsewhere, it's helpful to people and makes a difference in lives. Um, and I've been really fortunate. I work with a great team to put the magazine together, and for an organization, that's really got 70 years of helping people with spinal cord injuries and other disabilities. So yeah, I feel very, very fortunate to do what I do.
You
And
know,
it
for
has certainly affect. Sorry, Bobby. I just want to say one thing real quick about the
yeah,
magazine, and I'll toss it to you. Is it helped affect and change my life in a significant way? When I was a teenager, like figuring out what the rest of my life was going to look like in terms of moving out and whether or not independence was going to be a possibility, and just trying to learn and understand what and how I was going to do it all. New mobility was like one of the top resources that always popped up when I was Googling, and I can't tell you how many articles and how many forum posts I surfed through and checked out online many, many years ago. Something like 15 years ago now. And something I've continued to read and continue to be influenced and learn and educated by. So it certainly has affected at least one individual's lives in a positive way. So
Yeah, there you go.
shout out to mobility for that. All right, sorry, Bobby, take it away.
no problem. But you know, we can rewind a little, and there might be a few, unlike the three of us here, we know what New Mobility Magazine is. But tell us, what is New Mobility
Yeah.
Magazine, and what kind of stuff is in the magazine for someone that maybe not haven't heard about it that's watching today.
Totally. So, New Mobility, we like to say we're the leading publication and website for active wheelchair users. We've been around for 35 years this year, I believe. Started as a print only publication that was, like I said, just for active wheelchair users, and from active wheelchair users being the key thing. Not people telling us like what we should be doing or how to do things, but people with spinal cord injuries or other disorders writing about their experiences and, sharing resources and tips, but also like fun stuff that you would want to read, like interesting people profiles, travel stuff. Like back when that wasn't easily available, now you could go on the web and search, and there's like lots of people doing this kind of stuff. But imagine 35 years ago, man, like there was no web, right?
Zero.
And you couldn't find these stories out there anywhere. And here was a magazine that you could subscribe to that would come every month, or every quarter, I think at the time, and then eventually it went monthly. That had these stories that were edited and well written and like researched. So it wasn't just like reading a bunch of gobbledygook. And we've been doing that ever since. Like I said, I've been around for about 12 years now. Obviously, we've got a website at newmobility.com now. That's a great archive of a lot of the stuff we've done over the years, and we've adjusted to the world with the web. But still, I would say one of the best resources out there if you're a wheelchair user or have a mobility related disability. We're trying to come up with fresh, creative content that has been not just thrown out there, but edited and curated so that you get the most out of it.
And usually on the forefront of what's going on today, I know the big thing that we've been talking about for the last year is travel. And I know that you guys done, a magnificent job on covering those issues that we have in traveling. So it's great to pick up the magazine and find out what's going on in the world today you know, with us who have a disability, day in and day out and dealing with those tough issues, and you guys cover it.
And actually, Ian had his own personal one. I read one of the articles just recently with traveling, driving for like 9 hours, I think he said, to get to Arizona, with a reservation for a room with a roll-in shower. Even called to confirm the couple days before, and then showed up to no room with a roll-in shower later at night. So I mean, you're not only writing, like you're living, like you're obviously living through all of this too.
Part of the deal when I became editor in chief was that like you have to write a column for every issue, and like I'm not like the most sharing guy. Like I'm not the one who like wants to share everything on social media and put it all out there. So I had to adjust to that, but it's actually been really fun, and kind of learned to open up a little bit about that. And like that was an example, right? Like it's the same stuff we all deal with. no, we all know like how this happens. Like everybody I've met in a chair has been to a hotel and showed up after, reserving it and doing all the stuff right, and then they're like, oh, not only do we not have your room, we don't have any rooms like that in the hotel. And you're like, I just talked to you and you told me you had this, right? It happened to me twice on this last trip to Southern California. 2 out of the 4 hotel rooms that I booked, were not, and said that I confirmed to check them. I showed up and they weren't there. So, it's stupid how common this is and what we deal with. But
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got an interesting question for you. As a cool quad as well, why all of us are, typing is a challenge. Writing, I don't know, I like to write, but still it can be, a little bit difficult, especially with these quad paws at times. How do you
yeah,
write? How do you write out your articles? Do you type? Do you dictate? What do you do?
I use good old fashioned little typing sticks
Nice.
uh, for the most
Old
part. I keep them with me wherever I go. And that's how I do most computer work. Like I sit in front of a computer most of the day. If I'm doing like long emails and stuff that I are like kind of off the top of my head, I've taken to using dictation stuff through Google. I used to do like Dragon and stuff, but I just got tired of it all. And I've had really good luck with just like the phone tech dictation, honestly.
That's gotten really good now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So I'll dictate stuff on my phone and just shoot it off from there. And then when I'm writing like long form stuff, I still prefer to type, so I'll just type it out.
Cool. And do you use typing sticks on both hands, or do you like quad style, like one hand, one not? Okay, cool,
Nice.
very cool. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out one day. I'm
Yeah.
always curious because I'm a big typer too, and I like use my little keyboard pokers, but I just use like my fingers.
I was gonna say that's what I do.
But it's pretty much the same thing, just without an actual device.
My fingers are super loose, like for whatever reason, like there's no tension in my hands. So, and I have no sensation at all in them. So like I can't like when I hit the keyboard with it, they collapse. And like it doesn't actually it's hard to actually type fast with it.
so
Uh,
basically you're hitting 5 keys at the same time.
yeah, it's just like my hands collapsing on the keyboard. So,
And I've gone to now, with these stylus at the end of pins, I've just gotten used now, and I'm only one, so now I'm, typing with that, and I find they work for me. And I got a tighter grip than you, and I used to have, because I lost my pinky, so I used to do it by my pointer of my pinky, and it was awesome. And then over time, my fingers have curled a little bit more, and so my knuckles now getting in the way, and it's like, I can't get away with it like I used to.
I
And it's
I
funny.
don't have it here. I'd show it if I did, but I took one of these and I found these like snap styluses that were like $1 online that had the like conducive touch tips like a normal stylus, and I taped them to the end of this and cut this off, and it worked as a typing stick and for touch screens. So like on your phone or like on a tablet, so I could type and then touch on the screen, like when I was using a pad or whatever. That was pretty great, but I just don't use the touchscreen as much anymore.
Yeah. Getting back to New Mobility Magazine, I had a quick question. Like Tom said, when he got a hold of his first copy, it really changed his life. Something that changed my life was the big, and I called it the Bible of information, and that was, and remind me again, because you guys have maybe, I think, 3 editions or 2, but it was a big spiral book that had every little thing. Like
Yeah,
the first 100 pages were about spinal cord and bladder management and all that. And then it was about sports and then about
yeah.
law. And
I think it was
my,
I think
my
it was Spinal Network, right?
spinal network book. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
my biggest question, I know that print is pretty tough to get out there nowadays, and it just doesn't get read. But for web based, have you guys thought about bringing that back at all? And all one conducive area?
We're always talking about that, and like, how do we have this insane archive of content, right, from 30 plus years, and
Yeah.
that, and other special things that we've done. And the question is, how do you make this digitally interesting and digitally something that you can get out to people? And that's one of the things we have talked about. I can tell you, like, we're still talking about it. Um, I don't have a great, like, I don't have like, oh, we're doing it right now answer, but it's on the list. I'll tell you that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it just, some would have to be changed, but just the library that is probably still current and, or just changed a little bit is so valuable. I mean, from, I was doing, after my year accident, I did a program, where I was doing rehab every day. And when I read about wheelchair boxing, I went in and I'm like, hey, we can still box, and we we did for quads, we did one glove and then tied ourselves up, and all we were doing is jabbing. But it's because I read it in the Spinal Network book and just thought like, hey man, this stuff is still relevant. And seeing that someone's doing karate, and I got to meet oh, I forget his name now, off the Ron something, but he was the number one karate guy, and he was in the book, and then I met him, and it was just like, oh my god, I read about you when, with the Spinal Network book. So
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, most of that stuff stays relevant. Like, I was reading a book that the original editor of New Mobility put out in, I want to say, like 80, 89 or something. I can't remember when, but and it's all profiles of quads and paras from back then. And
mhm.
reading through it, like, it still resonates. Like, the struggles that they had, like, it's different now, obviously, with internet and things, but the basics are the same. Like, and the emotional and intellectual stuff that we all deal with, it hasn't changed. So yeah, it's definitely on the list. We want to get that stuff out there, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
What's the transition been like going from like more of a print age to a digital age with new mobility? Has it affected it? Has it been a positive? Like, is it somewhat more accessible now because the web is so accessible?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, right? Like, so we're still hybrid. We still have a number of print subscribers, thousands of print subscribers that get it every month, and then we want to do service to them, and we want to keep it fresh. We want to reach new audiences, and most of that's obviously coming on the web and so through social media, and figuring out that balance and doing justice to both at the same time is tricky because we have a small staff, man. I mean, like, there's only like four of us that are full time, and then the rest of it, I find freelancers, and we got part time people and stuff, and we've got a great team that's really committed to it, and we're really fortunate to have an awesome person who heads our social media. Shout out to Teal Scherer if you haven't checked
Been
her
doing
out.
it. It's been
Yeah,
great job on every time I catch it on Instagram, and making sure that we're not missing those articles coming up.
yeah, because I mean, it's a whole world, right? I mean, you guys know this. Like, it's one thing to have a group or an organization or something that you're proud of, but to really manage and cultivate like a social following and build up kind of a web-based thing is a full-time job. And we've been working on that for a while, and I think we've made a lot of progress the last couple of years thanks to her, and some of the other efforts from Seth, who's like my co-editor. um, they've really taken the lead, but we're still trying to figure it out. And if you guys have any great ideas, I'm always open to them, because as, it's, as I'm sure you also know, like, it's frustrating when you put stuff out there that you feel that you're really proud of and feel like could have an impact, and you don't see it connect the way you think it should. Um, and there's a lot of stuff out there that clutters up the internet, I think, and maybe misinformation and things that are not necessarily that helpful. And to see those connect with people and then see your stuff, I'm not saying like it's their fault or anything. It's like, what do we do to do better at that?
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting question. One that's not just important for the disabled community, but maybe all media in general, because it's a pretty wild westy out there with short
Yeah.
form content and real legitimate articles that people work on for months and years that get no press or no coverage or no nothing. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Um,
When do you mind, Tom? I got a quick question regarding the publication.
Not
So, you mentioned that you're both hybrid, and if I'm not, there was a time I was getting it for like a year for free, the print, because I was. And are you still owned by Spinal Network?
Yeah. Right now, New Mobility is the membership publication for United Spinal Association, which is a nonprofit that's been around for over 70 years. It was started by veterans after World War II who came back with spinal cord injuries, and we're like, this is the world. We need something out there to advocate for us. So United Spinal was on the East Coast primarily for a long time, and then about 12 years ago, right around when I came on board, they merged with the National Spinal Cord Injury Association, which you might remember, NSCIA, and they
Yeah.
had chapters all over the country, a lot more presence on the West and the Middle. So United Spinal kind of became this national organization at the time, and New Mobility became a couple years later became the membership publication. So there have been various iterations, but there was a period, like you said, where anyone who was a member had a free subscription, basically, and you could choose whether you wanted a print copy or an online copy. And then there was a while after that where if you signed up to be a member, you got a free year, and then you had to subscribe. There's been a lot of iterations. It's been a little
Yeah.
confusing, even for me.
And I don't mind paying. And I used to see it free online as well for a while because I worked
It
at
is,
Rancho, so I'd show people
and
like you.
it is all free online now. If you go online to our website at newmobility.com, you'll see there's a digital edition there, and anyone can download a free PDF of the print layout if you want, and all the content that goes online is also on the website for free. So there's no paywall right now or anything like that. If you want to check it
Awesome.
out, it's there. You just have to create an account.
And even
And
for the print version, I think it's like 24 bucks a year, I think, maybe a couple
I think it's
bucks a
even
month.
less than that. I think right now it's like 10.99 or 14.99.
Okay, so it's really cheap.
wow.
Yeah, my wife actually just subscribed. Because I used to get them earlier for. I remember getting the publication, um, and that must have been when they were coming out for free during the thing.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been getting them in a while, so we did subscribe to the actual paper one again.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things. We're very fortunate that United Spinal foots the bill for a lot of the costs because, like you were saying, Bobby, it's not cheap, and a lot of other publications have come and gone, and they've been very generous about that, and hopefully, they feel like they're getting a good deal on it. But I think the reality is, at some point, probably in the not too distant future, the print is not going to be around anymore. And we're having those discussions about how do we make sure that we can replicate the fullness of what we're doing on the web. And I think we're going to do a good job. It's just going to be different. Things do change. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
And
a
you
fan
got,
of reading things online in like lieu of watching them, and I mean, all of the articles, all of the publications I read like are online, like on my phone or on my computer. I used to, I think, got New Mobility maybe for a time. Then I signed up or my parents signed up, but I was like in the golden age of like you signed up and it was free to get online too, and like I got the monthly publication online, and I don't know, just the point that out too. New Mobility, I think, was like on the like beginning curve of online stuff. Like I originally found them online. It was like back when the web was still, I don't know, relatively new-ish. Like in terms of like journalism online and stuff. I think
yeah,
they were pretty early adopters, which
yeah. There's a website you can go on. It's called like the Wayback Time Machine or something that archives old, archives everything from the internet from the last 20 years or 25 years, and you can go back and see old New Mobility issues on there, what they actually look like on the web. Back in the days of like Alta Vista and pre Google type stuff. So it's a trip to look at that. I did it we were looking for something, but I have to go back and find it. So we've been doing it for a while, and we're getting better and better. But there's always more room for improvement.
And how
well, we
far
have, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to ask how far back, like right now, is the website archived? Like, how can you just see this last year's publications,
No,
or?
no, no. I think all the stories from the past, at least I want to say 15 years, are on the website.
Oh wow, that's pretty
Um,
incredible. Wow.
and then a selection of stuff from before that with a lot of the more prominent content is available there too. So I mean, if you ever want a fun rabbit hole to dive down, go in and put in one of those like quad STI topics, like put in bladder or bowel or something. You will be overwhelmed. There's a lot there.
Well,
Yeah.
and we also do rolling over the hill for Live to Roll channel, and sometimes that's where I get my ideas. I just kind of go in the archives of your new mobility, going, "Oh yeah, that's And when we first started talking about the aging with disability, I found most of my info from some of your past articles that you've done. So that was really helpful. But on the first Thursday of every month, we have one of your star. Uh, she's been in your publications a million times, and and I think she still does some articles. Ellen Stoll. So,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's how I found out about New Mobility magazine when she first was in the went right after she was getting really famous for Playboy, and I
Oh yeah.
just met her, and she's like, "Oh, well, here's a free copy of the New Mobility," and I think that was like 92 or 91.
She's like one of our most famous contributors, man. Like, I mean, she did obviously famous for the Playboy, but then we had her on the cover right after that, and she's contributed a number of great articles. She
Yeah.
is, if I'm right, she's going to Greece this summer, and
She's. I
she's
think
going to
she's
do a
leaving in
story.
like a week or two. She's
Yeah,
leaving.
dude, and she's doing a story for us about that. So keep your eyes pinned for that, and later this
Awesome.
year.
And also, Julian Delara is also on that same show. So we got some ties in it from our Littoral family here and
Well, yeah, no, I
contributing.
mean, Southern California is the hub, man. Every time I come down there for
Yes.
Abilities Expo, I'm just blown away at the community down there and a little jealous. I love my Oregon community. We got a good one up here too, but I think the warm weather and the fact that everybody's attracted for that draws a pretty cool group of people that you guys are fortunate to tap into.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people out here, and it's a great community. But
So
Shout out
what's
Mr. Ben Tipton for the $2 super chat, dude. We love you,
oh,
Ben. Thank you for supporting our show so much and for being such a good friend to us, dude. And Viv and Dominic and everybody in the chat, we love you guys so much and really, really appreciate you.
I got the fist bump for Ben.
yeah,
Boom, let's go. Quad fist bump. I feel like if we all do it, we'll turn into the Quad Voltron or something. And
that'd be something.
unite, you know?
I
Really
like that.
Uh,
fantastic.
at least I can only dream. Well, anyways, let's get back to the point in order, which is our buddy Ian. So I guess like maybe more of like question about your personal journey through all of this. Were you living in Oregon when you got injured? If you don't mind me asking, like, how did it happen?
Yeah, I had just graduated high school and was on a road trip with some friends. And about like 2 weeks after high school, I got out of high school, and yeah, I was driving. I rolled a car,
Hmm.
and the car collapsed on my front driver's side. Everybody else was able to walk away with minor relative injuries, and yeah, busted up my neck. So I've been here ever
You know,
since.
we really are quad twins because I was in an automobile accident where we rolled. I was the only one that got my neck crushed. Minor injuries for everybody else. 26 years ago. There's
I knew
something going on
I knew I liked you. I knew you looked sexy.
thank you, bro. Right back at you. All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, that was my story. I was on a vent for a while,
Oh
and
wow.
did that. They told me I was going to be on a vent forever. Luckily, that didn't work out, and I was fortunate to get off that. Went to college, got my degree, got a grad degree. Like I said, worked as a freelancer for a while, and then started working with New Mobility, and yeah, just been around doing that since.
Cool, dude. Cool. So, what's your journey been like? I mean, what was I know you mentioned it briefly earlier, but it's kind of like intimidating, especially like in sports journalism, being in the press crew, like as a quad and stuff. Did you encounter accessibility issues? Did you feel
Oh yeah.
intimidated being in there with everybody? How did it affect your job? How did you overcome all that?
I mean, I mean, like I said, I was covering some like low level stuff mostly. I covered some fun, high profile things, but minor league baseball and minor league hockey, like accessibility was always an issue. Like I would show up early, I'd meet the press people, and they'd have to set up a special table for me often, or boost stuff up, and I'd have my computer set up. And this was like back in the early 2000s, so it wasn't the internet and stuff was different than it is now. But
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there with my whole setup so I could type and take notes, and I'd have to go interview people, and and I had like 20 minutes to write a story, and it was a trip, and I was really fortunate to have people around me, my parents at the time, caregivers and stuff who could help me with some of the logistics because there was no way that I was going to be able to do it all in the short timelines that I had to sometimes. But I got to cover a lot of cool stuff, man. Like met a lot of baseball players coming up through the minor leagues who went on to be super famous. Basketball, NBA players, college players. Saw a lot of fun sporting events, and
What's
yeah, it
your
was neat.
who's the most famous athlete that you got to write about or meet
I mean, I got
before?
to meet a lot of people. Like I got to go in the locker room with LeBron when he was like his first year or two, and I was in the locker room with him, so that was pretty cool. But I mean, I didn't interview him. I was interviewing someone else on the Cavs for a different story. Uh, but that was cool. Uh, I'm a baseball guy. I've always been a baseball guy. I saw somebody pop in a chat with a Dodgers thing there, and that kills me because I'm a Giants fan. But you
Ha
know,
ha
it,
ha.
it
Boo
is what it
Giants.
is.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, I met a lot of cool baseball players like Felix Hernandez when I as a Northwest person. He was a big deal up here, and I saw him when he was like 17 or 18. A lot of guys that went on to be, pretty famous all stars in MLB. I'm trying to think of specifics, but I don't know. It was always enjoyable and kind of a neat experience.
Did you ever get to do anything with the Beavers or the Ducks?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of Beavers and Ducks. I covered a few Beaver basketball games and things, and a few Duck games, but I mainly did like Portland State, like the University of Portland, which were the two other Division One
Yeah.
schools up here, and I covered a lot of them, a lot of Portland State, which was really fun, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of minor league stuff. A couple times I got to go to Blazer games, but random stuff.
Okay, I got a
Yeah.
two-parter.
Okay.
Um, were was there ever a situation where somebody didn't take you seriously, whether as an athlete, somebody you're interviewing or something, or it was just like negative or not so great experience as a result of your disability? And on the flip side, was there ever like a time where your disability got you in on a story or something? It got you like different access than the other press, or is there any like positive side to it as well?
That's a good question. As far as not taking me seriously, you know, I think when I showed up at most of these things and had press access, I had my press pass, and I would be places where nobody else was, and there weren't a lot of people covering the things that I was, so people took me pretty seriously. I don't remember anyone ever like giving me trouble on that per se. They were usually like intrigued, like because they'd never see anyone, especially in a power chair, like roll up on them to like ask them questions. It was more like, "How do we do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just like this. It's exactly the same." So that was like I had pretty positive experiences with that. Um, the only thing that jumps to mind on that end, honestly, was like I applied for a job at a newspaper that I had been working for. I'm not going to name it, but like I've been working for that newspaper regularly, doing tons of stuff, and it was all getting published, and they were like very positive. And then, so I was like, I'll apply for a full time job, right? Like that makes sense because I'm basically full time anyway. And the people just totally disregarded me. Like because back then remote work wasn't a thing. Nobody worked remotely, and
Yeah.
the idea, me being in the office, I guess they just couldn't wrap their head around it. And I had to do like their typing test and stuff, and I could type pretty well, like for my like little typing style, but obviously I'm not going to be typing 100 words a minute and flawlessly. So they had reason to kind of diss me, even though I clearly could do the job well, and that hurt a little bit. That was
Mm-hmm.
frustrating, but moved on.
And
So
how much further after that did you get the job with No Mobility?
probably just like a couple years after that, because that was when I was starting to really look for something more substantial. And the new mobility thing was a blessing, because uh, it was remote at the time when, like I said, that wasn't a regular thing. They were cool about that. And, I'd been to that point freelancing, I'd always been on, Medicaid and, with my disability benefits and stuff. And this was my first, I was like doing that. I was like a big step because it's like, if I do this, I'm going to be making too much money to be on Medicaid and Medicare anymore. So I had to take that leap and, to have benefits and work on salary. And they were great about it, and I was able to do it. So
Awesome.
That's
And how
amazing.
was
That's
that transition in the beginning to transition from like
dude, it
stressful?
was so stressful. Everybody, we all know how stressful it is just to maintain benefits, right? Like, just the nightmare of constantly having to justify and, go through all that stuff. And that was wearing me down as it was. And then when you're getting off, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can really get back. Can I get back on if something happens? Like, is this the right thing to do? Like, am I sacrificing this for the wrong reasons? And there's tons of paperwork and nobody can really tell you what the right thing to do is. You kind of got to go off your gut. It was stressful.
Yeah, it is pretty stressful. I've been on and off a few times, and for the stress, I did manage to get back in pretty smoothly with not a lot of trouble and actually more graces than in the sense that, oh, you're going to receive more uh, than you used to, and it's like, oh, because I paid into the system now even more, so I'm like, oh, even better, and they're like, oh, and we have to retro it, and so I've always had a good experience, but the times I have gone off it, and for the 10 years, twice, it's pretty stressful, and trying to pay for your own insurance, very stressful.
Yeah. Well, we're also fortunate to live, I think, in California and me in Oregon, just because the benefit programs are a little bit more thoughtful and substantial than a lot of parts of the country where I talk to people and they're just at the bottom of like a nightmare, and I don't envy that at all. So I don't forget that. Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing.
So being
Go ahead.
Yeah, and yeah, I was just going to ask. So, being editor of chief of New Mobility magazine, and now you've probably covered a lot. What's the coolest that you've article or story that you've been, or what really, is there something that really stood out that you didn't expect?
Man, the thing I like, I'm a people person and I love meeting interesting people. And the cool thing about this job is that you're constantly connecting, like with you guys, for example, right? Like, I'd seen Shawn online a number of times, and read about Live to Roll and all the stuff you guys do, and I know about it. But like, just getting to know people and like all the interesting things that people are doing in our community, and being able to shine a little light on some of that sometimes. And like as an example, maybe 6 or 7 years, well, probably more than that now. I don't know when it was, 7 or 8 years ago. I got wind of this guy who was in New York who was a paraplegic, and he was a sommelier, a wine steward basically, and had built this custom thing so that he could do high-end wine service, right? And I was like, that's a cool story. And so I did a little profile of him. Fast forward now 7 or 8 years. Since then, we had him a few years later. We made him our person of the year. He now opened up a restaurant in New York that just got named one of the best restaurants in New York. He's got international fame, kind of Yannick Benjamin, if you look him up online. Just on the cutting edge of kind of, advocacy and accessibility. He runs a nonprofit there. And just all these people like that, doing interesting things and showing, just what the possibilities are. So I really enjoy that a lot. And I'd say the other thing that I really enjoy is if you're looking for a specific article example, I just reshared this the other day on, I think, LinkedIn or somewhere, but um, last year or earlier, I think it was last year, it all blends together now so fast. We did a story about the smart drive. You guys know the smart drive, the add-on for manual chairs. It's like a power add-on. Um, and the story was started from the CEO of our organization. Was at an event that we put on, and the smart drive malfunctioned and basically sent him flying off the stage. Literally, he was lucky to not be
Whoa.
like seriously injured, but he flew off the stage because it was not working right. And we started looking into it, and it was a known problem. Like this was a thing with the Bluetooth and the way that they designed their system that was not right. And like multiple people had these experiences, and we did a lot of reporting and we talked with them, and it wasn't a hit piece at all. Like, the company was very receptive to like, we're trying to fix this, we're working on this, but it turned into this great reported piece that I think really connected with a lot of people in the community and led to change so that they, made some changes in the product. We did a video about it that was great and educational. So something like that, that really like is helpful, insightful, getting at something that affects us, a lot of people in our community that maybe would just, pass aside or get swept under the rug. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is
Especially
great.
when you see change. That's huge. And I never used the smart drive because of that. I was always, I've seen friends take off across a room with a, carrying a table at the same time going, where are you going? And
Yep.
yeah, I'm glad to see that they have listened and not ignored it.
Um, you mentioned earlier that you haven't always been like the most person in terms of like sharing your experiences, living with disability and stuff, but you've been doing that more so as you've been editor in chief. What's that experience been like for you? Has it been positive? Does it feel good to talk, write about, share your experiences, and connect with others like that?
Yeah, it's like I said, it was a learning process for me, um, because I think I'm not trying to hate on anybody, but like there's so much sharing out now, right? Everybody shares everything, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Like it's great. Like if that's what you're into. But like I mean, I grew up in a different era, and like that wasn't how it was, and it took me a while to figure out what was right for me to share, and that balance of personal and like why the why are you sharing this? Is it just to share? Is it is it to kind of glorify yourself, or like is there something more to it, right? And when I'm able to do that, or like if there's something that like helps me understand things better and I can express that in my writing, then I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I don't know. I think it's a pretty gross culture we have right now on social media, and like people that share every little thing for clout or for attention or for whatever it is. But I know I found so much like something. It's hard to even articulate in words what exactly it is through sharing, like here on Live to Roll and stuff, sharing my hard experiences, sharing my good experiences and stuff, but not for clout or for attention, but to help, you know, if not educate others, like inspire others too. And because I've learned so much through a similar thing, like listening to Bobby and Shawn like talk and share their experiences, like before Live to Roll, I was like going to support groups and stuff and just hearing about people talking about their week, hearing people talking about their hardships, hearing people talking about their cool stuff that they're doing. And all of those things like helped teach me so much, and one like motivated and inspired me to maybe go out and try some stuff too, but also help me understand and problem solve so many different things that I was also navigating and facing at that same time too. And that's where I think it's really beautiful, and just what you said, it's how you share it, where you share it, your intent in what you share, I think as well is just so very important nowadays. But I'm glad that you have been able to do that, and it's been a positive experience because you seem like a really awesome dude with a lot of cool things to share, and others
My
could
quad,
potentially
that's because you're my quad brother. We got each other.
got
There
it.
you
We
go.
gotta grow each other up all the time, dude. Heck yeah, man. That's pretty cool, though.
I
What's
do have a personal story with no mobility where I read an article on somebody who was barbecuing and got my own barbecue, started barbecuing, and then getting into smoking. And a few years later, I got a phone call and was featured in New Mobility, and you even printed one of my recipes. So I was really like, oh, that's cool.
I gotta find that. Do you remember when it was? I'll find it. I'll get a scan of it for you guys.
It had to
yeah,
be
That would be
we
cool.
should.
2018 or 2019. So
Okay.
somewhere right there.
Oh, dude,
So
I
you have
got it.
to,
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna go back and find it.
yeah. So and the recipes changed a little, so I'll have to give you an update on the recipe. And
What was the recipe for?
um, the rub I use for my pork butt that I smoke, and I've
Nice.
changed the way I smoke it now too. I don't cover it. I don't do anything. It's I have a process where I almost get it not to the right temp, and then I shred it up after letting it sit, and then putting it back in the smoker about 3 hours later with the juices that I collected, and I found that just works. It softens up the meat and makes it really moist.
All
Did
right,
you have
Bobby, you're making me
did you have
hungry
any
over here.
did you have
It
any pictures of your barbecue setup, or was that before you even set up your barbecue stuff? Or
was the old barbecue setup, not the
oh,
new
so
one.
not the new, yeah, because yeah, your
Yeah,
setup is so nice for accessibility and stuff, and like it's such
yeah.
a cool space.
The only thing I was hoping, it was like one of those things when you're into sports and making sports the cover of Sports Illustrated. I was hoping to make the cover, but it was maybe with Lift to Roll, the three of us
Now you
can
know the
make it.
guy. Now you know the guy. I'm here for you.
There you go.
We got
Exactly.
it in with the EIC, the editor in chief, baby.
Yeah,
Don't even worry about it.
the hookup.
Uh, so, I got a question about your current kind of work routine. What is it? Do you work? You said you work mostly remotely now. Um, do you do any traveling? Is that involved with work at all? I know you just came down here to SoCal for the
Yeah,
Abilities Expo and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I work from home. I'm in Oregon. I'm in my office right now. My computer that I normally work at is right to the side here. See, right to that side. Uh, and I get up in the morning. Usually at my computer by 9. A lot of people I work with are on the East Coast or elsewhere, so I try to be around in the mornings so we have time together. And work. I don't work like 9 to 5, but I work around my schedule too with caregiving and stuff. Not sometimes I'm a little later in the morning, depending on what's going on with my caregivers. People are understanding, and then I work probably like at least 7 or 8 hours a day. Sometimes on the weekends, I'll mix in to make up time and stuff, and uh, meeting with people on my team. A lot of phone calls, a lot of emailing, kind of trying to find good stories, keep my eye out on what's going on, things that would be of use. Coordinating with our writers, um, you know, keeping an editing stuff. Because I also actually do edit copy. That comes in since we use a lot of freelance people um, and then I'm writing stuff to fill content and fill holes. So it runs the gamut, man. Like it's always something different, and it depends on where we are in our production cycle. We're bi-monthly now, so it's every other month. So like this week, Thursday, we have to ship to the printer for this next issue. So I literally just got the what we call blue lines, which is the final set of proofs for the magazine. It's like a PDF that I can go through. I got a photo of Shawn in there this issue. I told him he's featured in one of the stories about traveling with the caregiver. So go through that, look for errors, make sure we get that all fixed. It goes to the printer Thursday, and we start next cycle. So
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to checking that article out because and
Is
shout out
your
Jenny Smith. I think she's just a freelancer for you guys, but
yeah,
Jenny Smith's really nice, really cool, and she does do some writing and stuff. And she's who interviewed me for that little travel article.
yeah,
Yeah,
Jenny's great.
that is super cool. Does the quadness ever get in the way of your work routine? I mean, I know it must inevitably, but how's that balance for you? How does it work?
Yeah, man, I'd love to say it doesn't, but it does. You know how it is. Like the number of calls I've had to end because I'm dysreflexic, or having a problem with the catheter or other things like that. Yeah, that happens, and you just deal with it and move on. I've been mostly fortunate, to avoid other stuff. I had a few years where I was dealing with some more serious stuff with some low blood pressure and anemia, and it makes shorter days and not quite as much focus and energy, but just kind of like I said, just sort of figuring it out, working through it. I've got great caregivers that help me, and I try and stay on top of all that stuff as much as I can. And my work's been really positive and understanding. When I do have more serious stuff, to pick up my slack, and I try and pick up when I can for other people. So yeah, it's a constant struggle though.
Have
I
you?
actually
Has there
have.
been? Go ahead, Sean.
Like I said, I have a quick quad question for you on the. Was your low blood pressure because of anemia, or was it? It was just, or was it just because I know we all deal with the low blood pressure, and like, yeah, it's just something that I've definitely always struggled with, just like the fluctuations of
Yeah,
some.
mine was complicated. I think. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly. I think the root cause was that I had some really bad hemorrhoids, and I was
Okay.
losing a lot of blood. Not to get too terrible on here, but it
No,
was
that's
not a
Nothing's
fun.
off limits.
And I think the I lost so much blood so consistently that when I went in to do the blood test, I was like at the very baseline of what's kept me out of being in the hospital. So once I got through that and kind of finally got back on that, I've had a lot more strength and my blood pressure's been a lot more manageable.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Cool.
why I'm known as the colostomy boy here. Uh,
That's where I
big.
am too. I'm into club.
All right, great. Welcome.
Yeah,
Next time we have a bowel and bladder,
yeah.
we'll have you on. And I need a little
Yes.
help because these guys outrank me, and so be nice to have a partner.
Yeah, I'm 2 years in now, and it's been a lot better for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Shout out Viv who says she's signing up for the zine right now. So we got one more for New Mobility Mag from the Live Troll fam. So shout out Viv, we appreciate you showing love to our New Mobility fam now too. And as we approach the end here, I guess we should maybe shout out the sponsors real quick. Let's shout out Mobility Pros, Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a great durable medical equipment here in Southern California. They can help you out with wheelchairs, standing frames, shower chairs, and the like. If you find
And
yourself
urology.
in the beautiful Southern California area, don't hesitate to give them a call. They can work with your insurance and help you out and get your stuff taken care of right the first time. And similarly, their sister company, Urology Professional, has got you on anything urological supply related. If you need catheters and any associated accoutrement to fulfill your catheterization needs, they got you. They are a national brand as well, or a national company. So anywhere in the U.S., you can receive their services. They are amazing folks that are of the community and for the community, and can work with your insurance and work with you, help you understand everything, and get you all your stuff that you need for little to no cost as possible. So go give them some love and check it out.
Yeah, we very much appreciate our sponsors, and check out Thursday's show, Rolling Over the Hill, because Dean from Urology Mobility Professionals will be on the show, and Dean's an awesome person, awesome guest, and
He's
advocate.
gonna,
And
he's gonna be displaying a lot of the products that are out there. So hopefully you can learn if you're on a product you're not really happy with. Uh, Chime in on Thursday at 3 and ask him the questions. If you're looking to change your system.
That's awesome. You guys are super, super
and then
fortunate to have good people down there for that. It's nice to have choices and people that care and are knowledgeable. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, super,
and then
super
I'm
important.
just gonna also real quick shout out some of our other shows. Tomorrow we got Tom coming back here, gaming with T Fizzle on Wednesday. So check out the
Don't
gaming
miss it.
streams. What's that?
I said, don't miss it. It's
Yeah, don't
fun.
miss it. 5
We're
p.m.
having a
Pacific
good time.
Standard. Check out the gaming, and then like we just said, we got Bobby and the guys on Thursday coming up here. Um, and then next week, just real quick, we do also shout out to Hell Wheels in the chat there. On Mondays, he was in the hospital this week, so wasn't able to game, but he does some gaming too on Mondays as well. So make sure to check out that. And then next Thursday, we'll actually have Wheel Girl Talk on. For the following Thursday with the ladies. So make sure to check them out next week as well. So awesome shows in the lineup. And also, I still have to make a banner for it, but make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or anywhere you download your podcast. The Live to Roll show on Tuesdays and all our Thursday shows are all uploaded to podcast. So check them out. You can listen there. And then,
If they do that, they miss how sexy we look.
that's true
I
though.
was, I was
That
gonna
is
say,
the downer.
go check out the audio form, but I think the magic really happens where you can see our beautiful faces right
Yeah, I
here.
was gonna say, do yourself a
So,
favor.
go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Um, at the end of the show, Ian, I like to ask the guests, you got any advice, anything that you would share to maybe a quad out there living life who's maybe needing a little advice, or anybody with a disability? Is there any general advice you'd offer? Maybe you're newly injured or just living the life?
Yeah, man. It's funny you asked that. I just wrote my next column, so it's a preview of the next issue that comes out. But when we were with Billy, can I tell a short story, or do we have a minute and a half or so?
Oh,
Yeah,
you're good. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
man.
So like, we were at a Billy's Expo, and a couple came up to the booth, uh, newly paralyzed dude and his girlfriend or partner, I don't know, and they had that kind of like glazed over, like this is a lot look, that people get after they've been injured. I think he'd been injured like 6 months or something. Super nice, had a bunch of questions, chatted with him for a while, and like I felt like I just wasn't saying enough, right? And we're wrapping up, and I said, "Oh man, it gets better." And I instantly was like, "Oh, Ian, like it gets better." Like that's so cheesy, man. Like, what is it? That doesn't mean anything. Like, what are you saying? And like, it's not that it's not true. Like, I mean, I think it does get better, but it's like, why does it get better, right? Like, what is this helpful? Like, if somebody said that to me when I was newly injured, I'd be like, "F off," right? And so I was thinking about it that night, and I was in the hotel in LA, and I was watching Sports Center, and they had a segment on Sports Center about the Duke women's basketball team and the coach of the team, who was a woman that I watched when I was younger. Now she's the coach, and they're really good. And she had given a speech to her team that went viral. And it went viral, and the message that she gave them was uh, life, the basketball and life are not going to get easier, uh, but we're going to learn to handle hard better. And that's going to be what elevates us as we go forward. And I thought about that, and it really clicked for me. And I was like, that's what I was trying to get at. Like it's going to get better. It's not going to get easier. And the reason it's going to get better is because you're going to deal with all this hard shit and you're going to figure it out over time because you don't have a choice, right? Like you just have to figure this stuff out. And the more you figure out, the better you get at it. And the easier it gets to do things. It's not getting easy. It's getting easier to do things because you've done it, right? And you've proven yourself that you have this confidence and ability that you maybe didn't know you had, right? And that's what I wanted to say to the guy. And instead, I just gave him this cliche Hallmark stuff. So, anyways, that would be my takeaway.
No, that's a
I
good
love that,
point.
man. I've never heard
Yeah.
that before, but honestly, that's super resonates. As someone who's been doing it for a long time too, because it's certainly true. It doesn't really get easier, but it does get
Yeah,
better as we learn to, you know, uh, handle the hard a little easier.
yeah.
Um, well, was there anything else you guys want to ask Shawn and Bobby?
Um,
Um,
I
any
have
guys?
one quick one. What was your favorite story to do with New Mobility Magazine? Do you have one that just stands out that was your favorite?
Man. Oh God. Off the top of my head, no. There's nothing that like there've been a lot. Of all the stuff that I've done with New Mobility, I would say the thing that probably jumps out the most to me is going to the Roll on Capitol Hill, which is an
That's
annual
cool.
advocacy event that United Spinal does. And it's
Mhm.
just every time I've been, it's just incredibly invigorating, like to see all this people from our community in DC advocating for the things that we need, and kind of talking to legislators and stuff about why it's important, and just being around that community of like empowered people is really cool. So that's probably the top thing for me.
Yeah,
Really cool.
I got to do it in 2019, and amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, Roll on Capitol Hill is an annual thing that it is annual, right? Every year they go to
Well,
DC.
I heard this. Is it correct, Ian? It's
They're
virtual.
changing it. They're changing it to virtual one year and then in person the next year,
Oh,
just because
okay.
the cost has gotten so expensive, and they have to rely on sponsors. But yeah, it's still going on.
Is it going to be virtual this year or in person?
I believe
Virtual.
this year is virtual.
That's cool. Well, I think maybe even Live Troll will have to see how we can maybe get involved in that in some
Yeah,
way, shape, or form. If only
totally.
just attend.
If you go to unitedspinal.org and look at events on there, they got all the information on there too.
I'm on it. I'll do that. Thank you for sharing the info.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I will make sure to add the United Spinal website into the description. I have New Mobility down there for anybody that wants to check out the website. Like Ian was saying, all the articles are on there. Like for the past 15 years, you can look up all kinds of cool articles and information. And if you want to get the subscribe to the print, like it is very cheap to get. It's not going to cost you much, or even on disability, I think it's quite affordable.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah, dude, please
Well,
do. I really appreciate it, guys.
Ian, you're an intelligent, inspiring, sexy son of a gun. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and share your story and share about this amazing resource. That I hope if everybody you haven't checked it out, please do go check it out. If only online. Sign up for their newsletter and stuff because I promise at some point something's going to be published that will benefit you. So yeah, man, we really appreciate you.
And if you're out there, and I always give if you don't know something, go on YouTube. But if you also have like, has this been done or how do I do it? Like, let's just say motorhoming, if you want to get a motorhome and being a wheelchair user, go to New Mobility Magazine, type it in the search. 90%, 95% of the chances are 95% that they have an article on somebody who did it. And so you
Yeah,
don't have to recreate the wheel.
it's true. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
And that's what
also,
we're all about, paving a smoother path for those coming up behind. Most of us have done pretty much everything once and learned something from it. So if we can all, garner the information and share it with the newbies coming up and people that are overcoming it for the first time, then, we can make their lives a little bit easier. That's what it's all about, baby.
yeah, that is exactly what we're all about here, trying to spread that information just to help people that are struggling with some of these things. And yeah, same, I feel like we're right there with, new mobility. It's like, that's just the way we're all just out here trying to make it a better, easier life for others with disabilities. So
And
make sure.
shout out Tony Schmeesing. I hope I'm saying your name right in the chat. Sorry if I'm not, but he says important publication of my journey. So that we got another one. Got tacked another one on the list. This is a really important publication out there that I think a lot of people would find valuable. So definitely give us some love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure to check out the website, check them out online, subscribe, all that, and also follow United Spinal. Another just because it's all one and the same. Like I said, they also have virtual support groups, all kinds of stuff as well. So
Yeah.
But
make sure.
before you do any of that, make sure you're subscribed to Live to Roll. Make
That's
sure
right.
you have the little notification bell clicked so you get notified when we go live 3 or 4 times a week. And yeah, we'll let you know about all the good stuff too.
Yep, live content Monday through Thursdays on the channel. So make sure to check it out. Lots of good information and just fun hangout. You can just pop in the chat, even if the topic's not something you're that interested in. Pop in, talk, say hello. It's part of the community. It's all fun. It's all good. So
And I nailed the pronunciation. Let's go, dude. First time for
Nice.
everything. First time for everything.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you everybody in the chat. We appreciate all you guys. Um, Ian, thank you for coming and joining us and sharing.
Anytime.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on again for some other cool, some other topics and stuff. But great to share. And yeah, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you guys next time. Live to roll, everybody.
Live to roll.
Roll.